Hey guys, my name is Pocket and welcome back to League 101. Today we're going to be talking about everybody's favorite bird boy, and of course that's Rakan. Now before we get started, I know it's been quite a while since I uploaded, but I've got some pretty exciting news hopefully coming in the next month or two, so hit subscribe if you want to keep up with that. And as usual, I've got timestamps in the video description if you need to get to anywhere specific. So we're going to start off by talking about Rakan's abilities, but Rakan's abilities are pretty simple, at least compared to a lot of other champions. So I'm going to kind of gloss over these abilities compared to some of my other guides, and I'm going to choose to spend more time looking at combos and his passive a bit later on in the guide. So to start, his Q is Gleaming Quill. He shoots a feather in the target direction. It'll deal magic damage to the first enemy that it hits, and if it hits a champion or an epic monster, then Rakan will heal himself. This heal comes in the form of a little circle that loads around him. Once it's fully loaded, Rakan will be healed, but it will instantly heal him and all the allies that are around him if he goes within distance of an ally. Rakan's W is Grand Entrance, and this is a dash to a target location. It creates a circle on the ground and it will knock up all enemies that are within that circle. You can also simply use this to hop over walls because it is of course a dash. Rakan's E is Battle Dance, and Rakan will dash to an allied champion, and when he gets there he's going to shield that allied champion for 3 seconds. Battle Dance is pretty awesome because it can be recast within 5 seconds at no additional cost, and this recast has the exact same effects. And Rakan's ult is the Quickness. Rakan will gain 75% bonus movement speed and enter a ghosting stance. At this point he can run through all enemies and it will deal magic damage, charm them, and slow them when Rakan runs through them. Unfortunately, this effect cannot affect the same person twice, but when Rakan does collide with his first champion, he's going to get even more bonus movement speed, which can really help you get to the other enemies. And now we're going to talk about Rakan's runes. To start off, whenever I'm playing Rakan, I'm always going to look to the Resolve tree and toward the Guardian Keystone. That's right, for those of you who have followed my stream in the past, I'm not an Aftershock Rakan player anymore. I still think Aftershock is viable, but I just prefer Guardian in pretty much every situation right now. For those of you who do like to play Aftershock Rakan, the sub-rune choices in this section are still going to make sense, but I would suggest giving Guardian Rakan a go because it's pretty good right now, at least in comparison to Aftershock Rakan. And then in the Resolve tree on line 1, my go-to rune is usually Font of Life. Font of Life is just a great rune. It adds more healing and utility to your kit, and Rakan has access to a number of items that have special effects when you heal allies, and later on in the game when you're CCing with your ult or your W the entire enemy team, Font of Life will give that buff to all of your allied champions. If you have a very oppressive lane, if you're not expecting many problems, it's an easy matchup, and you've got a strong early game ADC, then you can definitely look towards Demolish. But frankly, I think in the lower elos, Demolish just isn't as good and tower priority isn't as important, so I'd definitely be suggesting that you look towards Font of Life in most cases. On line 2, we have a very simple choice between Bone Plating and Conditioning. Bone Plating is my usual choice here. It's much better in lane because Conditioning doesn't activate until at least 10 minutes, and it can really help to protect you from very oppressive or very dangerous enemy team comps on the bot lane. Conditioning, on the other hand, is the late game rune. It scales really well, and like we're going to talk about in the build section, you do have access to some items that can make you pretty tanky, and Conditioning just simply amplifies this. And then finally, on line 3 of the Resolve tree, we have another pretty simple choice. We're going to look towards either Unflinching. This is the best pick when you're going into high CC bot lane comps, because that extra tenacity really does help, especially before you get items and you're really going to be quite squishy and easy to lock down. Or if the enemy doesn't have much CC, you can look towards Revitalize. Revitalize simply amplifies all of your heals and all of your shields, and is great into low CC comps, or if you're very confident that you're going to be able to stomp the bot lane and they're not going to be much of a threat. For secondary runes, I think there's only one really good choice at the moment, and that is to go into the Domination tree and select Ult Hunter. I really love playing around Rakan's ult. I think it's very powerful just on its own, so having it up as much as possible can mean that you are constantly a threat to the enemy team, and you're constantly capable capable of starting an engage with a very big upper hand because of that massive CC that you can supply. And the second choice in the domination tree, as usual, is going to be between Ghost Porro or Zombie Ward. Basically, you choose Zombie Ward the higher elo you are, and Ghost Porro the lower elo you are. Because in the lower ranks people simply do not ward enough, Zombie Ward becomes a very bad rune because you cannot stack it if you cannot clear the enemy wards. But in the lower elos, Ghost Porro is a fantastic rune because they're not going out and clearing wards as much, which means that you can spawn as many Ghost Porros as possible. Not only will it stack it quickly, but it's going to provide you with a vision advantage, and they can be quite important at the lower elos because the enemy team is going to have such bad vision in comparison, and it really helps you bring a little more utility to your support role. If you don't like playing around having Rakan's ult up as much as possible, and instead you want to have your ult be as powerful as possible, this might be a good choice if you are in a team, you're in flex, or you have an ADC with you, so you're much more coordinated than a typical solo queue team. Then you can look towards secondaries in the sorcery tree. And here you're always going to want to take celerity. It simply makes you much faster. With the changes to Shirelia's battle song that we're going to talk about in a minute, speed buffs are much more common for a Rakan playstyle, and celerity is just really awesome. And then secondly, you can choose between water walking or Nimbus Cloak. These are pretty simple. If you think you're going to be fighting over objectives a lot, or you're going to want to roam a lot because your ADC can farm safely, then water walking is going to be awesome for you. But if you want that extra safety, then Nimbus Cloak can be a lifesaver, especially when you need to flash out. You get that speed boost and it's really going to help you out. Before we move on to the next section, I just want to say that this video was chosen by you guys. I've started doing a few polls in the community tab over on the channel page, so if you guys want to have a say in upcoming content, head over there. I'll put a link in the video description as well. And if the champion that you want to see isn't in a poll, leave me a comment down below or in the community tab so that I can make sure that I'm bringing the content that you guys want to the channel. And now we're going to talk about Rakan's items. To begin with, itemization on Rakan is pretty simple. Our starter item will pretty much always be Relic Shield. I know a number of you will probably have seen that Rakan that absolutely shits on you with Spellthief's Edge, but this is mostly contained to Smurfs in my opinion, who are just making extreme use of their better positioning and lane pressure. If you're playing at your own elo, which is where you're going to need a guide, I would always suggest using Relic Shield. It gives you AP, which is nice. It gives you a little bit of health for a bit more versatility, and of course, especially in the lower elos, it helps your ADC farm, which is really nice actually. Then for our boots on Rakan, which are pretty important, I'm usually going for boots very early on because mobility is so important on him. You really have a pretty wide variety of choices. If the enemy has tons of slows, you can look towards boots of swiftness. If they have a lot of CC, you can look towards Mercury Treads. If they're full AD, you can look towards Steel Plate Caps. But assuming you don't want to take one of those defensive choices to combat something that the enemy team has, then the core boot choice on Rakan is going to be Ionian Boots of Lucidity, also known as cooldown boots. They're just really good boots. They give you 20 ability haste, 45 movement speed, and 12 summoner spell haste, all while being the cheapest boots in the game at just 950 gold. And then our core items on Rakan are going to start with Shirelia's Battle Song as your mythic item. Shirelia's offers you AP, ability haste, health, and mana regen. All of these things are really good on Rakan. You're really going to love having pretty much all of these stats, which is great. And it has a pretty nice active. It grants you and nearby allies 60% bonus movement speed that decays over 4 seconds. Now when you're combining this with your ult for these amazing engages, it really helps your allies keep up, either by allowing them to dodge enemy skill shots better, kite better, or if they are like you and they want to be right in the enemy team, they can help them just keep up with your movement speed. Shirelia's now also has a passive, empowering or protecting an ally, excluding yourself of course, grants both you and your ally 25% bonus movement speed for 1.5 seconds. This is really nice for use with your E. If you're using it to get in on the enemy team, then you are going to have more movement speed when you're running around inside them. And if you're using it to get out, then you're going to have more movement speed when you're trying to dodge skill shots and escape. This has a 4-second per ally cooldown, which means you can proc it multiple times if you're using the second charge of your E usage on a different ally than you used your first charge or 4 seconds later. Basically, this is my only choice for mythic items on Rakan. The other options, the more tanky items such as Turbo Chem Tank, they're just too expensive for me, and I think you'll really be surprised by the amount of damage that AP Rakan can get even when you're only building small amounts of AP like Shirelia's. After building Shirelia's as your mythic item, we're going to move on to Zeke's Convergence. I will always build Zeke's Convergence, it's just too good of an item, and I will pretty much always build it as my second item as well. There might be times where you're going to want to skip building it second so that you can go for anti-heals if you have a very stubborn allied team, but usually this is going to come straight after Shirelia's. Zeke's offers you ability haste, health, mana, and armor. Once again, you love all of these stats, so there's nothing wasted on the base stats. And then its passive is also kind of its active at the same time. You designate an allied champion as your accomplice, and then whenever you immobilize an enemy champion, they are marked for 8 seconds, and your accomplice's basic attacks and abilities against this marked enemy champion will deal bonus magic damage. Of course, this is good with pretty much anyone because everybody is doing some damage, but it's really good with an ADC, especially ADCs that are building attack speed because it is every single basic attack on hit. Overall, Zeke's is just a great item. It makes you a bit tankier and it makes you much better at your job, whilst also helping to buff your allies quite a bit, and it's just really not to be underestimated. Now, once you've built your support item, Boots, Shirelia's, and Zeke's, you've only got 2 slots left. So for your second to last item, the choice will usually be between Redemption and Staff of Flowing Water. Both of these items are just really awesome. Redemption is great in team fights because it can heal a massive area around you and also damage enemies within it too. And of course, as Rakan, with your ult being so powerful, later on team fights really are your bread and butter. But Staff of Flowing Water makes you do so much damage and gives you so much ability haste that it is also a really good item for team fights. Really, the choice is going to be made around your allies. Do you have allies that are really going to benefit from the ability haste and the ability power that Staff of Flowing Water is going to grant them? If yes, you should definitely move towards that, but if not, you should look towards Redemption. And then usually for your final item, you just build the other one. There are some exceptions to this. Firstly, the higher elo you are, if you're in Plat Plus, you should definitely look towards at least considering the Stirring Wardstone. It offers a pretty great vision advantage, but it's just simply not that good in lower elos because vision just isn't that important, and your own ability power or utility or whatever else you can bring with other items to buff just yourself is much better in low elo solo queue. So make this choice accordingly. And the other item that you have to consider is of course anti-heals. The anti-heal item that you're going to want to look towards is Chemtech Putrefier. It offers you ability power, ability haste, and mana regen, and not only will it apply grievous wounds when you damage enemy champions with an ability, but also when you heal or shield allied champions, their next instance of damage is going to apply buffed 60% anti-heals. This is obviously great on Rakan, and like we talked about earlier, the Putrefier, Staff of Flowing Water, and Shirelia's can all make use of Font of Life. When your allies attack somebody that is marked by Font of Life and get even that minimal amount of healing, it does count as activating this buff, which means in a team fight, if you manage to charm the entire enemy team, then all of your allies are going to damage at least one of them, and they're all going to get that buffed 60% anti-heals. Of course though, if the enemy team does not have oppressive anti-heals, or your team has already built it, which let's face it is a little rare, but if they have, then you definitely can forgo this item. But it's a really good last resort to at least consider if the enemy has a lot of healing and your team's being a little stubborn. And now we're going to talk about a couple of the combos that you need to be considering on Rakan at all times. Obviously, there are tons of different circumstances, so you're going to have to try and edit these combos and think about exactly how you can use them in all the different scenarios that are going to turn up. But hopefully after this, you'll have a basic understanding of the kind of combos that are open to you and when and where they're going to be most relevant. So to start off, we're going to talk about a very basic lane trading combo. It's really simple, but it's your main form of trading in lane, and that's simply going to be E, W, auto attack, Q, and then E out again. Of course, if the enemy is not positioned very well or you just get the upper hand on them, you can skip the first E here and just W your way in. You're also going to want to make sure that you get your auto attack in when you're doing this combo. Auto attacks are very underestimated, I'd say, by lower ranked players, especially in the laning phase. Support's auto attacks are quite significant when you're just trying to trade, so make sure that once you've done your W, you're getting at least one auto attack in, then use your Q, and then you can E out and they probably won't be able to lock you down and you're just going to have a free trade. Even if they do a small amount of damage to you, your Q will heal you as you E back to your ally. Of course, if your ally was also damaged, then it will heal them, so this is a really fantastic trade pattern and you need to master it. Our next combo is a very basic team fight combo. You'll start by using your ult. Now, I know that this sounds like it's going to waste some time on your ult because you're using it before you get in on the enemy team, but there's a very good reason for this. Once you've used your ult, you're going to E to an ally and then W in. You E to the ally first to shield your ally because you're in a team fight, they will be taking damage. You will also get your Shirelia's battle song speed buff, which is really nice. And then you W in as fast as you can while you're ulting. You're going to knock them up and charm them at the same time, allowing you to instantly start dragging them towards you as you run to collect whichever enemy teammates have not been charmed or were not in the main group. Because you've got that first charm off with your W, you will be getting the extra speed boost you get for charming your first enemy champion. So you'll really just zip and zap straight through the enemy team really quickly, really easily. Make sure that you get a Q off in there as well before Eing out back to your allies. And in this scenario, you'll have done a significant amount of CC, put your allies at a really good advantage to have done a lot of damage before the enemy team can even react. So definitely think about this. Something that you should note with this, and something that's very important on Rakan when you're moving into being a teamfight engager, is that you should definitely consider flanking. By making very good use of your vision control, you can get up behind the enemy teams, and hopefully this will allow you to take them off guard and once again give an upper hand to your team. Of course, if you do this, you will have to cut out that immediate E on your engage, but that's fine. And we're done. Thank you very much for watching. I do want to say again, I apologize to you guys for not bringing you a video for almost 5 months now, but we're back in action, and if you're new to the channel, hit that subscribe button because we're going to have a lot more coming your way.